This is an interview for peep-Magazine. We're joined with Paul Skevington in the centre of Newcastle, number 28. You might not know the face or you might not know the name, but you will definitely have heard of the establishments that Paul's been involved with, including Zerox, Nice Bar, North Bar, Camp David, Billy Bootleggers, Cosmic Ballroom, Nights of Planet Earth, Rockshots, Stage Door. Paul, we're finally done it, mate. You're finally here. I'm
sorry it took nearly a year. But.
Paul, thanks for joining with me, and
No problem.
it's a real pleasure to have you here. I know you're very busy. Paul, you got into house music, dance music about 87, 88 with the Jack's Tracks mixtapes. Was this the start of your journey of entrepreneurial spirits?
Not really. I mean, at the time, it just blew my mind as a form of music. I was into technology and sci-fi and just anything computery. You know, with the early sort of computer boom of the late 80s, I used to have an Acorn Electron and ZX81 and all that kind of thing. Yeah. So all of a sudden there was music being made by computers, and I was just on it straight away. Yeah, the Jack Tracks US import stuff was probably the earliest stuff. I used to, although Slam Future, the classic acid track, ironically used to get played at an under-18s club night I used to go to on a Tuesday. So I'd be playing all the 80s pop, and this guy somehow had got like a promo from the States, and in the middle of it, every week, he'd just drop that. In the middle of whatever. Madonna had been on before, and God knows what had been on afterwards, and it was just, you know, yeah, I just jumped on it straight away, you know. A bit of a life changer, a bit of a cliche, but
yeah. Cool.
So at that point though, I had no idea I would ever go into it in any way. It was just what I got into when I was probably about, 16, 17, 18.
What made you want to study computer programming at Northumbria University?
Well, I knew I wanted to go to university, because if you've been to Lincoln, you'd know why.
I've never been to Lincoln.
Yeah, well, you're not missing much. So, to me, Newcastle was like a, big city. And to be honest, I didn't know what to do. So I applied for business studies. Yeah. Just what everyone else was doing. And then I didn't really realise that computing was a degree. And, I was into my computing and computers. So literally about 2 days before the deadline, I kind of read up the course and just tried to switch to computing and business, which was what I ended up doing.
What was it? You were into computing because you were into the Spectrum games and stuff?
It was the games. It was the games that got me into it. I mean, I had a ZX81, which it's like 1K.
Yeah.
I
had a 4K.
Oh, did you?
I had the ZX48.
Right.
Was that 4K?
Was that not the Spectrum?
Yeah, the Spectrum.
Yeah. Well, the ZX81 was the one before the Spectrum.
Oh, right.
So it was just black blobs, black and white, and it was the precursor to the Spectrum. Sinclair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sinclair, yeah.
Yeah.
So whilst at university, you got involved with the student union, ENTS?
Yeah. So I don't really know how it happened, but I got involved with the club nights and things that were going on via getting on the ENTS committee. So it just ended up meaning that I'd go around town and help promote the nights that were on at the university. So I got to know the routes around town, where you were allowed to put posters, where you were allowed to put flyers. So yeah, I was doing that as a student for the university while I was studying.
Were you kind of doing cheeky club nights then, or were you doing house parties and whatnot?
I was doing great big house parties. When I think back, things you would never get away with now. My era of the bigger ones were in Jesmond, right next to Rehills.
Wow.
On a first floor flat, and I used to drill holes in the walls to mount lights, to have a big rig in the lounge and a big rig in the bedroom, and just...
A couple of 999 calls.
I got, the police I got walked out by 4 police one night from the top floor, just literally like that. And there was one either side, and they took me outside. This was a Tuesday night.
Right.
And I had DIY with the guys from Nottingham, Diggs and Wush.
Got you.
Had been DJing at a club night a Tuesday very early on when I was doing it fortnightly. And I was when I think back, I mean, I was just a nutter, you know. So on a Tuesday night, I was absolutely packed out, and the police were it was literally, mate, get everyone out, turn the music off in 10 minutes, or we're going to throw everything at you, and you're coming down. So I had to close. But I regularly had parties at that address. I can't remember the name of the street, but it's just round the corner from Rehills, which, if you think about that now in Jesmond, I mean, you wouldn't be able to turn your hi-fi up loud without there being loads of grief, you know. Oh
yeah, because I was under the impression you lived temporarily at the bottom of Westgate Hill. Is that just? Yeah,
I did for a while. I lived at the top of Westgate Road, and I used to do a load in the back garden there. I just used to do the parties all the time, you know. I just, you know, sounds mad now. Just it was just like a way of life. People went to a club, and it was late, and it was like, right, come back to mine, I'll rig the system up, and that's it, let's go till sunrise, you know. So you graduated, and then you got involved, because I'm quite interested in this, getting involved with Ice FM, because I've looked online, and the only evidence of Ice FM is Tommy Corker's, because he's got it up on his site. And he did the breakfast show on it. He did the breakfast show. That's the link. I did the breakfast show initially. Well, what happened was, it was a student station, and I'd got a bit of a name for myself as a promoter, so it was from Newcastle University, and I got approached to do a show and also to do the promo club nights for it. Well, the promo for it. So I started the club night Nice off, because it was Nice and Ice FM, and anyway. So nice. You know, so I ran these club nights, were really successful, really off the back of my house parties, really. And also, there's a lot of goodwill when you're giving someone something for free. I mean, back then it was an FM station. You couldn't get 1,000 different stations via, you know, an app. So it was a 24 hours a day dance music station. You know, about an 8-mile radius from the centre of Newcastle. And then the club nights were really to support the licence fees for that. But it just ground to a halt. I didn't run it, I just did the club nights, and at the same time as I was graduating, all the kind of, not politics, but the what's the word I'm looking for, bureaucracy of doing anything via a university meant it kind of imploded. No one could decide anything, and it was abandoned. So I went to Newcastle Uni with a friend and said, look, I want to take this as a private company. I want to get it set up. You know, you're not going to do it again. So they agreed to give all the equipment, and said, they kind of laughingly said, yeah, all right, mate, if you can raise the $9,000 back. This is back in about '92. Yeah, that's a lot of money, isn't it? Yeah, it was loads of money then. You know, I mean, I graduated without a penny, so we had to get sponsorship. And anyway, they said, look, if you give us an advert equivalent to a couple of grand, if you get it on air, you can have all this equipment. So I got the equipment anyway, and got it on air. So then from the second, third, fourth and fifth broadcasts were run by me as a company going for a bid, because there was a big regional licence on the way. It's currently Capital. So Capital FM Northeast is the regional Northeast FM licence that was won in the 90s. Yeah. So I just really chucked all my onions into hoping I would get this get the full-time licence, but in the end I lost out to EMAP. But you were looking for the RSL. Is that what you were? That was what we did, restricted service licences back then, which I think you can still do them now. But it's a legal 24-hour broadcast. Sorry, 28-day broadcast. 28 days. There's a lot of restrictions on how powerful your signal can be and all that kind of thing. So, but they were very powerful when you came to trying to get a proper license. Yes. So on paper, we were favourites in the industry to win the license, because doing 5 broadcasts in your own area that you'd funded yourself meant that you had a commitment to that area. Of course, yeah. And we had Gordon McNamee was the chairman. MD, sorry. It would have been his first ever job, when he finally sold his last shares to EMAP for Kiss in London, his first job was going to be moving to Newcastle if we'd won the licence. But anyway.
How cool would that
it would have been really cool. Just
mean?
meeting him, I went down to his house during the bid process, and I mean, it was all a bit mad for me because, you know, they were like, right, we're having another meeting, it'd be at the Groucho Club in a private little room. I didn't know what it was, and I'd just be walking in and going, sure, I've seen all these people on TV and that.
Yeah.
Take you to a little room. So I was a bit overawed by it.
Of course.
And I think that's one of the reasons we lost it, because I let them write it. The bid, it's a big sort of like questionnaire of why you should get it. And when I think back, it got a bit hijacked by this big film company, Gordo and all these consultants wrote it, and it became a bit London-centric with a patronising view of the North East. Instead of a kind of, you know, when I look back,
kind of what you don't
I
want.
should have just said, fuck off, I'm writing it from the heart, this is why we should get it.
Yeah.
You know, 90 people had got broadcast experience on it. And I think they could see it was London money people had hijacked the bid, and I think that's why we didn't win it.
I mean, I can kind of see where you come from with Gordon Mack having the experience of Kiss.
Yeah.
So you kind of you put all your trust into the people who've come before you.
I was kind of, who am I?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Who am I to put it? So, but when I think back, it was a good while afterwards I thought that was it. But at the time, I don't know if it was purposeful or not, but you know, he'd be driving me around all these clubs in London in his Porsche. We'd walk in everywhere, get champagne good. You know, he was a great guy. Personally, I got on with him really well.
He seems really cool.
Oh yeah, he was really cool. But he was kind of, I guess, like the front man for it. But a similar thing had happened in Leeds. Leeds had got a Kiss, and I think shortly after they got that, you know, some people sold up certain amounts of it, and I don't know full ins and outs. I don't know how this bid won it from for Chrysalis, it was called. So Galaxy FM with a station that went up. No affiliation to the North East. They'd never done anything up here, but you know, that's the way of the world. There's no second place, you know. Like when they got that license, that was 5 years of my life that was kind of shit. I've lost it.
It is a shame that, I mean, just with the Kiss history, if anyone's interested, that there's a nice little documentary about how Kiss came about and how they were looking for studio space and they're getting all the DJs in. It's really, really cool. And it's just so interesting hearing you now talk about Gordon Mack was actually thinking about coming to Newcastle.
Oh, it was. He was on the bid. He was the MD.
Yeah.
He was going to come for at least a year and run the station.
Right.
So, cool. I mean, it was, you know, yeah.
Were you the original Ice FM? Because I've looked online and there's about 25 Ice FMs now.
I don't know. I mean, if there was an Ice FM before 1992,
because this would have been pre-internet as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So you're just going out and writing it on paper.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It was FM. You know, you had to be in your home with an FM in your car.
Yeah.
You know, it was a proper FM signal.
For the people who are interested, I've done a bit of research on EMAP, and Global Radio actually bought Galaxy FM and then merged into Capital FM.
Yeah.
So that was back in 2011, and then part of a rebrand, relaunch, Galaxy stations across the UK combined with Capital FM.
Yeah, so that's why, so the license was originally Galaxy FM.
Yeah.
And then, now, it's Capital FM on that frequency with using that license. But
got you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how it works, but it's also a bit head scratching because it's like you come with an idea, a slightly larger company says, yeah, we're quite interested in that. A bigger company consumes them, they consume you.
Yeah.
And then you can see where I'm going with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the end, you know, I mean, regional commitment was the key word. Because what they wanted to do, in theory, the radio authority was meant to exist to stop people buying their way into having a station. So the reason people latched onto us because we'd done 5 RSLs in Newcastle, and we were going for the North East regional license.
Right.
So you couldn't buy that. People, I'd speak to people in London. They said, "Look, we can't buy this. We can't buy that for 5 years you've done a dance music station in Newcastle legally as an RSL, funded it yourself." And that's why they were so confident that we'd win it. But you know, yeah. But since then, yeah, with Galaxy, then Capil, and you know.
And with were you promoting people, DJs, musicians from the North East?
It was all over. There was no playlists.
Yeah.
It was guys. I knew
it was all local.
All local, yeah. It was all local. Well, I knew some like big name DJs at the time, so I'd get some mixes done by them and slot them in.
Yeah, of course.
But essentially, it was all about getting the local guys DJing. It was no playlists. It was like your shows then till then, and just do what you want. And I set up the station, and I mean, it was so knackering setting it up.
Because you were doing the club nights, and then
I was doing the club nights, and then it's 24 hours a day. I mean, I didn't have a technician. You know, if something went wrong, I had to go in. I set it up.
Yeah.
Other than the guy who rigged the transmitter.
Yeah.
So that's why on the third broadcast, Tommy took over doing the breakfast show. Tommy Cork, who you referenced earlier.
Cool.
And he was brilliant at it. Yeah. And he loved it. I think he loved it.
Yeah, I can imagine him absolutely being in his element. Was Mick Clark involved as well?
Yeah, Mick Clark, sure, he had a show on it. Yeah. I mean, there wasn't really anyone who was doing anything in Newcastle didn't get a show on it.
Yeah. So, Ice FM unfortunately come to a halt, but that wasn't to be because you decided to keep on doing your club nights. So you were actually involved with Planet Earth, Rockshots, Stage Door, Cosmic Ballroom.
Yeah. I did the rebrand from the Stage Door to the Cosmic Ballroom.
Oh, right, got you. What nights were you doing at Planet Earth and Rockshots?
Well, the first nights I did as a promoter outside of my house parties were Planet Earth on a Tuesday. So it was fortnightly. I don't know how many I did, not loads, but I was packing it. I was ramming it on a Tuesday every fortnight.
I went down to some of them nights.
Yeah. The early, I used to get Cleveland City, the record label. God, who else? I mean, you know, Farley Jack, Master Funk, reasonable level guests and all that. And I was just coming up to graduate, and the owner of the, I mean, I was thinking, oh God, I wasn't that good at computing anyway. And the owner of the club, just as I was coming to graduate, and said, "Oh, look, do you want the Friday night?"
Cool.
And I was like, fucking hell, Friday, what, weekly? And he was like, yeah, do you want it weekly? Because at the time, I didn't realise that filling a club like that made people money as much as I probably realise now. So I thought about it.
You kind of learning on the job, like
business. Absolutely. So I did a deal, and that was it. So I took over a weekly Friday, and it was called Nice. So the club nights meant I could run the station, and they provided the money for the licenses and everything. So by the time I didn't get the station, the club night had made a life of its own. You know, it was its own thing. So and luckily, because you know, like I say, if you lose when you lost the license, that was it. It was like done. So if I hadn't had the club nights, I would have been going. My computing degree was out of date because it was 5 years old. Yeah. So luckily, the club nights had enough legs for me to continue.
It was kind of meant to be, wasn't it?
Well, don't know.
So and then you kind of, I mean, it sounds like a long time, but you must have been doing this for around the next 10 to 12 years.
The club night ran about 14, I think.
Right.
I mean, it was Planet Earth on a Friday, then Rockshots on a Saturday, then the Stage Door on a Saturday, and then into the Cosmic Ballroom era on a Saturday. Cool. There was a gap, a little bit of a gap. And also, ironically, for a while I ran the Playrooms, which was the old Planet Earth. So after starting at Planet Earth and leaving Rockshots, the Planet Earth was available to lease for a short term. And that became the Playrooms. So Nice was at the Playrooms for a while.
Planet Earth is, for the people who are interested, is it where the gate is now?
Yeah, Low Friar Street. If you go up to the gate and turn left down Low Friar Street, it was about a third of the way down on the right.
And then it was upstairs, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was upstairs, yeah. I used to go there quite a lot. And it was, not on your nights, I think, much after that. It was kind of a hit and missy night. Sometimes it was absolutely heaving, and then some weekends there was just nobody there. Yeah, but not, again, like I say, not on your nights.
Yeah, well, the rest of there wasn't really anything credible around the rest of it. But you know, that Friday became so big, the Saturday was busy. I think, because it was just so on the map from the Friday. It was a good club. I think Planet Earth is probably remembered quite fondly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
By people who used to go. Yeah.
I know you had the Rockshots as well, but I never went in Rockshots. I think because I was maybe just not in the know then, but I thought it was kind of a rock, but it did have rock nights, didn't it? Rockshots?
Yeah, it was all over the place. I mean, it was a gay club primarily.
Yes, that's
it. And it closed down over licensing issues. Then it reopened, and it never quite got any traction. I think it was quite struggling. Well, they've told the owners a year in was sort of going, between me and you, that first night we had to go to the cash and carry to buy the booze from the money. They were it was close to the edge a bit, but it just landed with a bang on a Saturday, and then Bulletproof started on a Friday, which was a bit more hip hop and indie. Yeah, and then it had a real big run then.
I think I remember just to touch on Rockshots. I remember going past there like as a kid, and I think what put us off was it looked like a porno venue.
Yeah, I know the sign. The signs. Yeah, it did it? Yeah. It looked a bit Leicester Square in the 70s. Yeah.
I was like, I think I'm not old enough to know what that is yet, but and then you made a tune as well, Kendo Nakasaki.
Yeah, well, at the time there was a record shop called Bass Generator. Yeah. Down on Dean Street, on the way down to the quayside. So I used to shop there every week for my records. And if I'm honest, what happened was I was really good friends with the guy who worked there, Michael Devlin. And one day he said, "Look, I'm going to make a tune." He said, "I've got nothing to pin it to." And it's not like Nice was the biggest club in the world, but it was regularly in the magazines. And he said, "Look, how about we put it on Nice vinyl, so we can it's a bit more of a story." He was a resident of the club. Put it on Nice vinyl, and anyway, so that got released as the first release on Nice vinyl, and got to number 7 in the national chart. So
it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Not a lot of people know that either.
Yeah. It's a first here on Peep. You say it's a first.
Yeah. Well, it actually got signed by London Records by Nick Raphael, who was one half of Trannies with Attitude, who was the promoter of Vague in Leeds, which was a similar kind of mixed up for anything club night in Leeds, quite legendary. Vague, it was called.
Vague.
And then he went to work for London Records with Pete Tong. So that was the connection that made him go. He just rang me up, going, this Kendo Nakasaki, out to do. I said, well, he said it's on Nice vinyl, isn't it? Because he DJ'd at the club. I was like, yeah. I said, well, it's a bit of a promo thing. It's not my tune, but it's on my label. And then he took it on, signed it, got some people think it's a bit of a cheesy vocal on it, kind of I Need a Lover got a female, pop friendly vocal over it, and it just went massive from an underground club tune to like say top 10.
You're gonna have to listen to this tune.
Yeah, you'd know, it's a big piano track, Kendo Nakasaki. Yeah.
So doing all these club nights, you're making tunes, you're making all these connections, and you continued your business with North Bar. Yeah,
well, I think you find a lot of promoters, if they carry on promoting, they hit a point where they want a venue. So over the years, there's been North Bar, Camp David,
Nice Bar.
Then currently number 28 that we're in, which I was involved with Billy Bootleggers, but with COVID and everything, I've kind of like retreated back into the one solid venue to consolidate everything, and at the minute it's just here. So
I mean, how do you go about like acquiring bars? I mean, is it like buying a house?
No, well, I mean, everyone gets in a different route. The reason I managed it was because I think Nice was well known in Newcastle as a club night, and we did a big festival at Newcastle Racecourse, and didn't make any money on it, but we got about 3,000 or 4,000 people. I mean, it was all over Radio 1 and everything. Newcastle, the Newcastle brewery supplied the bar. We didn't get a cut of any, but anyway, I think they took about £70,000, £80,000 in a day. back in 90, whatever. So from the day that went on, and again, you look back at these things and you don't get it at the time. All of a sudden, a week later, I'm in Newcastle Racecourse boardroom. There's Mr. Big from Newcastle Breweries, Federation Breweries, and there's all these suits around you.
Yeah.
Because they're going, how did these fucking guys get 3,000-4,000 people out in a field and take over the racecourse, do it legally, have doormen on, and then and give us this bar take. So we found it quite easy back then. People were kind of like, look, get a bar, we'll fund it for you.
Mm-hmm. It sounds a lot like when we're chatting to Tom from World Heads again. It sounds a lot like how he he was doing with the Trent House. Yeah. Going out club nights on the beach and getting like a PA in and buying loads of booze.
I've read all that. It's fascinating on the website. And I remember reading all. I found out quite a few things I didn't know from before he did the radio show and all that.
Yeah, man, it's absolutely
amazing,
great.
Isn't it? Crazy, yeah.
So, Tom, if you're watching this, nice one, mate. Nice one. Paul, have you encountered any hostility along the ways of acquiring all these pubs, bars, night venues, gigs, and have you encountered any competition? And if you have, how do you kind of deal with it?
Well, I mean, it's always a competitive industry. In the 90s, who wouldn't want to make a living running a big weekly club night?
Doing,
and if I'm honest, although I've been here 30 years now, I was just this student from Lincoln. So without a doubt, that I felt there was an element of going up against a bit of a boys' club up here a bit, and I think you had to work harder to be accepted if you wasn't from the area. Mm-hmm. But when I look back, there was a period where Nice and Shindig, for instance, ran in parallel, and we were the Friday, they were the Saturday, and then when I moved to Rockshots, we were both on the Saturday. But when I look back, and I know all the guys there now, and I think it was probably no one really got a look in for those prime 90s years when every city had its big clubs, and I totally respect what they did and thought it was great. What I did was a bit different, but I think that's what meant we stayed on top as two nights, because we had a kind of competitor who was absolute top of the game. It was, if you were keeping up with each other, like some smaller nights came and went a little bit, but we were the main ones for most of the nights in the Newcastle city. So competition's a good thing, I think, generally.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So there was always competition, and there always is. The bar and club industry. But I don't know. Maybe all industries are the same. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, most definitely, especially the media game. It's like cutthroat.
Yeah.
Like if people step on your toes, they will. Yeah. To get an extra clip, they'll do it. Yeah. To get an extra few views, they'll do anything.
It's mad.
I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on the Reuben brothers buying up a lot of land in Newcastle and the council's core strategy, urban core plan. What's going on now around Pilgrim Street and the Market Street. What's your thoughts on all this redevelopment?
I think it can only be a good thing. I mean, obviously, as a bar like this in the city centre and other. I know most of the people who've got bars in Newcastle is you take your money on a weekend. Yeah. But for instance, when I think back to North Bar era, which should have been mid-90s, I guess, every night could be busy because there were people around all the time. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It wasn't weird to be out in the week, and you still maybe get 40 or 50% of what you did on a weekend. And then you make it up on the weekend. And then you'd have your weekend. Whereas now, like. Your midweek in the centre of town is really weak. That's partly because of COVID, and partly cultural, but also there's not that many people working in the town. So from what I gather, there's going to be 9,000 people working for HMRC in 6 minutes walk away from here, and within 6 or 10 minutes walk from there, they can hit any bar in town.
That can only be good for you.
It can only be a good thing, surely, because if 2% of them go for a drink and something to eat after work. It's lots. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's good. You know, I mean, it's all that big business, greed, the 1% and people. But you know, be that is made with the Reuben brothers, and not that I know much about them. I think it's got to be good for the city. What's happening down that street in the long run?
Yeah, of course. This is number 28. It used to be the Red Rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was a Blackett Arms originally, way back in the day.
Oh wow!
Right. So the Blackett Arms was a bit like the Black Garter.
Yeah.
Around the corner, you know, cheap and cheer. You know, all sorts went on. You know, den of iniquity, I think you'd call it. And so there was the ground floor. There was a ground floor, a cellar for its beer, and this was its function room.
Wow.
And it used to be called something else before the Red Rooms. I can't remember if it was. Oh, what it was called? Coast. It had a name anyway. It was.
Right.
You still hear people going, "Oh, I remember this used to be this sort of club, way before the Red Rooms even." But yeah, but it was all the Blackett Arms back in the day.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm looking around the pub now in number 28, and you've got like stuffed animals. You've got Helmut Newton photography.
Yeah.
You've got Victorian porcelain and stuff. I mean, where does all the eclectic taste like come from? Where?
Well, I mean, when it was anyone had been to the Red Rooms will remember it was a black room. That was it. It was just, and at one end there was a dance floor, and it was great for a dirty techno night or whatever. So when I first sort of started looking at getting this place, I just thought, well, I'll make it a club and tidy it up. But as I started to take things down, and you know, I wanted a bit of an element of, you know, the outside, inside, and some of the things in here now probably look a bit cliched, but like this 12 years ago, this was a very, very new kind of look. But as I started pulling it down and, you know, going around, you know, these windows and sandstone uncovered, so you know, I kind of made it up as I went along, literally. But I always had that theme of because I'm from Lincoln, there's a big antique fair in Newark.
Right.
It was the biggest in Europe at one point. So I just go down with a van and go, I like the look of that, like the look of that. I have no
Just
idea where they go.
Buy loads
chuck
of stuff.
it in. I'll have a lamppost that might come in handy.
Yeah.
And then just everything just came together with all the bits and bobs I had for the opening night kind of thing.
Wow, it looks great.
So yeah.
It's absolutely great. There's a young Paul. He's lying on his bed, looking up at these walls as a teenager. What posters have you got up on your wall, Paul?
Don't be too quick to fall in love.
Do you know what? I'm not just saying it. I was never a postery kind of.
I already know this because.
Really?
Yeah, because we've done this little pre-interview,
Really?
and
I can't remember.
and I happen to know that you were a massive 2000 AD fan,
I was a big 2000
Yeah.
AD fan.
and you've got a little story about having original.
Story nightmare, you mean?
Yeah, a nightmare. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was just whatever age it was when 2000 AD came out. I was always into my sci-fi, fantasy, nerdy stuff. And just so happened, my mum and dad said to me and my sister, oh, look, you know, you can have a treat. I don't know if it was for Christmas or your birthday, but choose a magazine or a comic or whatever. And we'll get you you know, you can get it. We'll get you it for a year. You know, it gets dropped off in your letterbox. So I just chose 2001 AD, and I just loved it. You know, like whatever. I can't even remember what age, but
Could it have been about 86?
yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm sure it'd be Googleable when it started.
Yeah.
But I had it from issue 1, and you know, I'm not kidding. I couldn't wait because it was serialised, and you know, it was Judge Dredd, all these, some of these things
ABC,
were so big.
Warriors, Judge Death.
Yeah. So
Anderson.
Strontium Dog was another.
Strontium
one.
Dog, absolutely love that. Yeah.
So Robo Jaws.
Yeah.
And the two robots.
Judge Anderson.
Yeah. And I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait for it to come each week. So anyway, I don't even know. I had boxes of them like that.
Yeah.
The all got a bit battered and everything. And I had them years. I'd read them, and then obviously grew out of it, chucked it in the cupboard. Then my neighbours had a young son, and they just got to talk to mum and dad and said, "Oh, Paul's got a load of old comics," and she said, "They said, oh, do you mind if thingy next door has them so her son can read them because he's like 9 and she thinks he'd be into it. So I got these huge boxes,
Yeah.
took them, I don't know how many, 100,
Yeah.
plus maybe the first 100 from the first issue. Anyway, a week later, I was around my mate's house, and he just had this like thing on the wall, 2000 AD comic, all in glass, and I was like, oh bloody hell! I said, I used to love that because I had no idea it had gone bigger. And he said, yeah, this is issue 196, and it was like 40 quid, and yeah, it's like it's a good because of this and that. And I said, oh right, are they worth any money? He said, are you kidding me?
Worth a fortune.
And I said, really? And I said, oh, I've got the first 100 of them. He goes, and he didn't believe me. I said, yeah, I got them when they came out because this was 10 or 15 years later. This was
right.
So I'd had them, kept them 10, 15 years. And he said, I'm not kidding you, Skev. Like, you've got the first issue's worth whatever it was, hundreds and maybe, I don't know, thousands by now. I don't know. And it took me ages. I wouldn't believe him. He said, look, honestly, I swear on my life. And I said, and then I went, oh fuck. I said, oh shit, actually. After all that time, a week and a bit before I'd give them to my neighbours, I said, oh, my neighbours have got them. I said, I'm not giving them to keep. They've borrowed it.
Yeah, you can borrow them temporarily.
And we literally got on the bus.
Yeah.
Because I was in the centre of Lincoln, I lived out of Lincoln, straight home, went home, knocked on the door, and the woman answered. I said, oh, like, you know those comics, I want them back. As he finished reading them. And she went, oh, them, oh. And she'd had them 6 months. Oh. She said, I chucked them in the bin on Monday. And I said, you're joking. She didn't give a shit. She was,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, God, they're worth loads of money. You're joking. And anyway, this was something like it was a sale went on a Thursday. I said, I'll put it in the bin Monday. Then she went, oh, hold on, though. I don't know. When's the bin man come? The bin man might not have been yet.
Yeah.
And went to her bins, and the bin man had come the day before. And they just all got...
Missed out on a day from... X amount of years.
Yeah. So after keeping them that long, I missed them by 3 days, and I couldn't explain to her. She was just, oh yeah, I chucked them away.
Yeah, that issue 1 now has got to be worth about 5-10 grand.
Really?
Easy.
And I even had, well, I didn't have all of them, but you got little gifts, little things with the first.
Yeah,
bit.
like little badges on the front. And everything.
Yeah. So anyway, what a gutter. Yeah.
I mean, I've got a lot of them in the house, but I don't know if I've got the first few hundred, but I have got about 2000 ADs. I've got the annuals as well, graphic novels, Slaying Horn Guard and all the rest of them, right. Drawn, illustrated by Simon Bisley.
Oh, right,
Just,
okay.
When airbrushing was like massive.
Right, yeah.
I used to like heavily airbrush, and I'm really into 2000 AD.
It was great. I mean, it really was amazing storytelling.
Yeah.
And artwork, it's all cool now and worth money, but things get like that because they're so good.
Yeah, it was a way of life, wasn't it? It was every Thursday, I think.
Yeah, it was Thursday.
Yeah, it was Thursday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I used to run out from school, and there was like a corner shop. We used to like 2000 AD, and he was like, oh, I think it was 87p.
Yeah, right. I can't remember.
Well, it was 87p.
I was looking. I'd got it as a treat, So it just they said, right, we're going to get you it for a year or whatever, and obviously I got into it. I don't know how long I got it for, but so I didn't even know. It just turned up. Just every
brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant. Paul, have you got any advice for someone starting out in business, wanting to start off on their own? Have you got any advice for someone wanting to do something, not so much exactly the same, but any advice?
Well, I mean, I just really don't think I could give anyone any advice in starting out now because things have changed so much. When I started out, it was the personality of your flyer, your residents, getting access to the DJs who were big. I did house parties, paid my dues doing house parties for 2 years, and I ran a Thursday night at a bar for a year and a half, getting promised a percentage of the bar take for a year and a half, and never got just got screwed over in the end. But that was paying your dues back then to build up a club night. Whereas now, obviously, it's all about likes, Instagram. I don't believe clubbing as it existed back then exists in the same way anymore. But I think that's partly because you can't be new forever. So, I always think that when I was a student in the 90s, that, you know, to someone at uni now my age, it would be the equivalent of me thinking about music from the 60s. So it's just one of those things that have rolled out musically, whereas when it came about, you know, people don't remember what nightclubs were like before dance music. They were absolutely atrocious, and it created a whole new culture, and it became your way of life in a way that it can't really be that anymore. So I'm not saying like some people are really like, oh, it was good in the old days, everyone's a dick now, and they just get the phones out. That's all they know really about this particular style of music. So, you know, God, if someone came up to me now, I mean, they might as well go and talk to, you know, Janet at Tesco has asked me, because I think it's a completely different universe to get into, clubbing and promoting. You know, I could go, be true to yourself, man. But you know, I just think it's
be real, man.
It's just, you know, it's different.
It's like a different game. But I think
I mean, if someone came in a time machine, jumped in here now, said, "Oh, hi, you know, I've just jumped here from 1990. Can you give me some advice of what to do now?" I could probably give some good advice.
Looking back, definitely. But I still think you've still got the nuts and bolts of the ethics of business about, you know, doing, because you're quite successful with the pub, and the marketing behind the pub's quite nice. So you're still doing all themes, but bringing them up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think being independent, it's a small proportion of the city centre. And you know, I don't know. You know, most people I know are into it. They've all taken very different routes. That you know, I think some things in life there isn't a school or
it's kind of what
pattern
fits
for.
your,
you know, people thought, you know, I came up here to do computing and ended up doing this. Even now, I just go, how the fuck did this happen?
Yeah.
You know, and I think, you know, I don't know. I haven't met many people who've just gone, so when I was 16, I decided I was gonna run a club and then run a bar or whatever they end up doing. I don't think many people get it mapped out and then do it. I think it just you fall into what you. Well, I fell into what I do in a way. When we were at the playrooms that I mentioned, was the old Planet Earth. We had Farley Jackmaster Funk and Marshall Jefferson DJing on a big USA vibe. And I found out it was Farley Jackmaster Funk's 40th birthday on that night. And anyway, I mean, I used to just get hammered. You know, the club night, I'd be a punter, you know, on the night. But anyway, I thought, right, whatever happens at midnight, I'm gonna go up and get everyone to sing happy birthday to him. So anyway, I went up, dead on midnight, pushed everyone out of the way a bit, couldn't find a microphone. Got the headphones, you know, like you could put the headphones in, and so I put the headphones in, feeding back. I'd got this massive sound system in, and I'm tone deaf. I'm the worst singer in the world, and it was like on that night we had like 800 people going mental to Farley and Marshall Jefferson, and it just was like tumbleweed initially because the music stopped. There's all this feedback. Everyone's like, "Fuck, what's that dick doing?" And then I went, right, it's Farley Jackmaster Funk's birthday today, let's go. And I just went, happy birthday to you, nothing, happy birthday, and then anyway, by the end of it, the whole club, like 800 people just going, happy birthday, dear Farley Jackmaster Funk, and they all sung happy birthday to him. And I'm sure he'll, like, you know, he looked quite choked about it. It was, and then it was it. Just pressed, you know, start, and the music was off again.
Paul, thanks, mate.
No
problem. We're finally done it.
No, bro, it's been enjoying reminiscing. I've forgotten more than I can remember. So.
And then I just want to say, if ever you're going to get rid of that Helmut Newton photograph, I'll buy it off you, mate. If you ever want to get rid of it.
I tell you what, I got that blown up from a book that big.
Did you?
And I got it drum scanned. So I don't know, I'm going back a bit, but a drum scanner is something that the scanner spins, so you get that ultra high resolution.
Really, really good quality.
Yeah, I mean, if you go close up, you can see the pixelation a bit.
Yeah.
But that was from a book that big, but an ultra high resolution scan of the picture. And then I just went around to a printer and said, blow it up for me, please.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah,
lads.
it's a great picture.
But Paul, thanks, mate.
No, thank you.
Thanks a lot,
I've
Paul.
finally got round to it.
We've finally done it.